We've been together for more than a decade, and I was thinking I understood him inside and out, knew what makes him tick, and could easily finish his sentences for him. But after a recent heart-to-heart conversation, it feels like I knew nothing about him, and as if I'm married to a robot, not a full-fledged human being. I may be overreacting simply because we don't think alike, but his mode of thinking and being feels so alien to me, to the point of reevaluating the whole relationship. Just to set the scene, he has always acted and still acts in a very normal, well-adjusted way, treats everyone with kindness. In fact, even in retrospect, there are only two things that are a bit unusual about him. And I would wager that identifying only two unusual or quirky things in a person you've been living with for so long is a sign that the person's pretty sane. First, he's very sensitive to any scenes of violence against animals, kids, or women in movies, to the point that he refuses to watch a movie without reading the detailed plot on Wikipedia to make sure it's safe for his viewing. He's not bothered at all when violence is directed against men, and may even find it funny. He doesn't have any problem with me watching other movies by myself, though he likes to tease me that I'm a psychopath to be able to watch those. And I'm not talking about some gory stuff, but a regular movie like It, for instance. Second, he's always been of the very grounded, silent, stoic type, who doesn't like to talk about his problems. For instance, when his grandma died, he only told me about it on the next day, and very curtly. By the way, if I seem a bit off for the next few days, it's because Grandma died yesterday. He was very close to her, visited her constantly, and talked about her probably more than about all the rest of his family combined. So, to get to the crux of the issue, it all started with a light-hearted conversation about life, death, and the meaning of everything. For reference, I believe in God, and he does not. A fact that I have long accepted about him. Part of the conversation went something like this. Him. Although God obviously doesn't exist, I admit it would be great if he did. I mean, I can't want anything more than you and the kids living on, forever and perfectly happy. Me. Sure, and you with us. Him with a genuine puzzled look. Why would I? I don't believe in anything. Me. It doesn't make sense. We wouldn't be happy without you. Him, even more puzzled. Why not? You'll forget me. Eventually, you'll have an infinite amount of time to do just that. If you live forever, any prior relationship won't matter. You'll find better and longer ones. Now that conversation would seem insignificant, but it bothered me that he was so casually entertaining a future where I'd be with someone else, as if he didn't care and didn't want to keep me to himself. Now I know we were mostly talking nonsense and messing around with hypotheticals, but it still bothered me a lot. So all those thoughts brewed, and I had to grill him with questions during the following few days. What I learned so far, his definition of loving me is apparently simply wanting the best for me. He's been with me all these years, not because he genuinely craved my company, but because he noticed I like his. The more I probed, the more it is apparent that he has no understanding of what romantic love is all about, and would easily let me go if I wanted to be with someone else. He doesn't seem to understand at all that I may miss him as a slosh person, rather than a means towards something. For instance, he doesn't seem to understand that I'd be sad and miss him if he died, saying that the life insurance would pay as much as his present salary, so there won't be any problems. His understanding of why I would be sad if he got seriously sick is also comically superficial. Yes, because if it's not one of the insured conditions, insurance wouldn't pay anything, and you'd have to take care of me and stuff. When I try to reason with him that he was sad when his grandma died, his response is that it was different. I was sad for her sake that she died, because she didn't want to. It is all very bizarre, like talking to a robot who faked all human emotions all along, but who has no idea what they really mean. The relationship has been great until now, but it now feels fake throughout, and I don't know how to deal with this. Sorry for the wall of text. I guess I'm a bit overwhelmed, and don't know how to explain this more clearly. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. He explained how he feels and sees things. And because of his understanding and feelings, he seems to be a very good husband. Just because his feelings do not line up the same way yours do does not make them wrong. If you continue to try to adjust his understanding because of how you do not like them, it's not going to be good. You are picking to fight a battle that does not need to be fought. He honestly sounds like he is high-functioning autistic. I have many people in my life that are. They remind me of exactly how he explains his feelings. Now that you have explained your feelings to him and he knows them, you should try to see things from his point of view. Then try to come to peace with them and appreciate how they make him the man he is. Because what you have now could be 1,000,000 times worse. If he truly has high-functioning autism, he will never understand how you feel, no matter how many times you explain it to him. Think of Sheldon from Big Bang Theory. If you can't come to peace with his views, you may need to highly consider moving on. Because his views may never change, and you might just self-destruct your marriage by constantly trying to get him to think in a way he cannot. Hopefully you find peace in anything you choose to do. Comment 2. He loves you. He shows his love in many ways. Celebrate these truths. I am a woman, and I would say I am probably very similar to your husband. My dad, whom I loved and supported through his aging, died on Tuesday night. I flew out to work on Wednesday. I loved my dad, but I do not feel overwhelming grief at the cycle of life. My husband could count on me for anything and everything, but I was not a romantic, starry person. If there is an emergency, I am your person. My kids know that if there is a situation in their lives, I am the one to call because I can talk it through without getting diverted by non-important details. I think clearly and can act quickly. Many people think I am odd. They are right. It is not that I do not feel emotions or have them. It is that they live under my rational brain. Now, for the update, thanks for sticking around after my last post. Well, things have escalated since then, and not in a good way. It started with a phone call from my sister who was in hysterics because she found out her husband had been cheating on her. I was shocked, but not as shocked as when my husband's reaction was a shrug and a comment about how, statistically, it was bound to happen to someone we knew. His lack of empathy was like a slap in the face. I couldn't believe it. I mean, this was my sister, his sister-in-law, and he acted like she was a stranger. But that was just the beginning. A few days later, I found out he'd been laid off from his job. He didn't tell me right away, just went about his business, as if nothing had happened. When I confronted him, he said he didn't want to worry me, and that he had savings and the severance package would tide us over. But that wasn't the point. The point was he didn't trust me enough to tell me, to lean on me. It felt like our marriage was a lie. Then, as if things couldn't get any worse, I got a call from the bank. There had been suspicious activity on our joint account. Turns out my husband had been moving money around, setting up a separate account I didn't know about. When I asked him about it, he said it was just a safety net in case something happened to him. But why hide it? Why not just tell me? I was reeling from all these secrets and lies when the biggest shocker dropped. I found out he'd been visiting someone in the hospital regularly for months. Someone he never mentioned. I followed him one day and saw him with a young woman, holding her hand, looking like he cared more about her than he ever did about me. I confronted him outside the hospital and he finally broke down and told me the truth. She was his daughter from a relationship before we met. He'd only found out about her a year ago when her mother passed away, and he'd been trying to build a relationship with her ever since. I didn't know what to think. I was angry, hurt, and felt betrayed. But at the same time, I saw a side of him I never knew existed. He was capable of caring deeply for someone else, just not me. It was like I was living with a stranger. I didn't know if I could ever trust him again, but I also couldn't bring myself to leave him. He was still the man I married, wasn't he? So I did the only thing I could think of. I accepted the situation. I told him I understood why he did what he did, and that we'd work through it together. I convinced myself that this was just another hurdle in our marriage, that we'd come out stronger on the other side. But deep down, I knew I was just fooling myself. clinging to a relationship that had been built on lies. Thanks for reading. My husband sneaks around with his coworker and lies about it. So I expose their affair to his boss and watch his promotion crumble. Reposting this from a throwaway account, I just found out my husband has been meeting with a female coworker during breaks. Should I be concerned? I, 30-year-old female, have just discovered my husband, 34-year-old male, been together for 5 years, married for 2 with a 2-year-old, has been taking breakfast lunch breaks with this receptionist at his job. She doesn't work in his department, and after speaking with him, I've come to the conclusion he has no reason to speak with her at all. But she has his number and has been texting him on a friendly basis for a long time now. I never thought anything of it before, as my husband is generally a friendly and well-liked person. He often talks to me about his coworkers and shares work stories with me. But I've never heard a word about this particular girl. And until I asked him, he had never told me he was taking lunch and breakfasts with her. I found this text in his recently deleted folder. Sure, I shouldn't have snooped, but curiosity got the better of me. He says I'm overreacting, but I can see how I can be concerned. As you can see, she looked for him for 3 days to have breakfast with him. And I'm only just finding this out. He tells me when he shares his breaks with her, they only talk about work. I doubt that. When I asked him why they exchanged numbers and how many lunch breakfast breaks they took together, he responded to both, I don't remember. I asked him if he thinks she likes him in that way. He said after looking at it now, maybe, but it never crossed my mind before. Had he ever told me any of this, I wouldn't mind. He's usually very honest, and I've never had a reason not to trust him before. But she seems a bit eager to meet with him, or am I reading too much into it? It seems silly for someone to be so eager to take a meal break when all they discuss is work. And yeah, she's pretty and younger. This work husband, work wife situation thing makes me nervous. Those situations aren't always innocent. Should I be concerned? I'm feeling quite hurt, and now he's angry with me for being angry with him, completely dismissing my feelings about the situation. I mean, this has been happening and he's never mentioned it. I think I am correct in feeling this way, given that he's hidden it from me. Isn't that the same as lying? I don't know, maybe I'm just insecure. But after 5 years together, having never experienced anything like this in our relationship, I'm worried. Since I can't post a screenshot to this community, I'll jot it down here. Tuesday. Her. Do you want to have breakfast today? Good morning, him. I'm having breakfast with the team, his coworkers, and have a meeting at 8 tomorrow. Her. Oh, yes, sounds good. I'll see you tomorrow, and I'm working mornings for the next 2 weeks Wednesday. Her. Are you still down there? Him. Only for 2 more minutes. Thursday. Her. Are you still down there? Him. Yes. Her. Coming. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Is he planning to continue having breakfast and texting with her? Did he offer to stop that? Did he seem regretful for causing you stress? The fact that he's usually open with you about his other coworkers, but didn't mention her is suspicious. Plus his vague replies, I don't know how long we've been having breakfast, etc. Comment 2. He's deleting texts with her and he doesn't remember how long this has been going on. BS. The chap has an office crush that he's been actively concealing. What you do with that knowledge is up to you, but at the very least you guys need couples counseling. Now, for the update. Thanks for sticking around for this update. So the whole situation with my husband and his coworker just blew up. I thought I was being walked over before, but this is next level. Turns out, she's not just a receptionist. She's the boss's niece. And guess who's up for a promotion? My husband. I found this out after bumping into another coworker of his at the grocery store. She mentioned it casually, like it was common knowledge. I felt like a fool. Then 2 days ago, my husband comes home and announces he's going on a business trip with her, just the 2 of them. He says it's a big opportunity to secure a new client, and she's been working on the project too. I can't help but think this is more than just work. He's never had to travel for work before, and now suddenly he has to go away with her? It doesn't add up. The night before he left, I overheard him on the phone. He thought I was asleep, but I heard him say, "Don't worry, she doesn't suspect a thing." My heart sank. I confronted him the next morning, and he brushed it off as work talk. But the look on his face told me everything I needed to know. He left for the trip, and I was left questioning our entire future. The day after he left, I got a call from the same coworker I met at the store. She said she felt guilty for not telling me the whole truth. Apparently, my husband and this woman have been the talk of the office for months. They've been seen out together after work, and it's not just friendly. I was livid. I've been the loyal wife, taking care of our child, thinking we were in this together, and he's out there making a fool of me. I decided to take action. I couldn't just sit back and let this happen. I went to his office and asked to speak to his boss. I told him everything. I didn't have proof, but I had my story, and I had the whispers from the office. The boss was shocked, or at least he acted like it. He promised to look into it. Yesterday, my husband came back from the trip. He walked in expecting everything to be normal, but I was ready for him. I told him I knew everything and that I had spoken to his boss. The look on his face was priceless. He started to deny it, but I cut him off. I told him I was done being walked over. I wasn't going to stand by and watch him ruin our family for a fling and a promotion. He tried to apologize, said it was a mistake, that he got caught up in it all, but I wasn't having it. I told him he needed to make a choice right then and there. It was either us or his job and her. He didn't say anything for a long time. Then he packed a bag and left. He didn't choose, but his silence was answer enough. Today I got a call from his boss. He said there had been a restructuring, and my husband's promotion was off the table. He didn't go into details, but I could read between the lines. My husband's actions had consequences, and it seemed like his little affair was going to cost him more than he thought. I'm not sure what happens next. I'm still processing it all. But I know one thing for sure. I'm not going to be the doormat anymore. I'm taking control of my life, and whatever comes next, I'll face it head on. Thanks for reading. My ex's new boyfriend asks about her contraception lies. So I expose her deception and watch as her world of lies crumbles. Very confused and unsure about what I should actually do in this situation. A bit of backstory. I broke up with my ex just over 18 months ago. The relationship was not great, to say the least. In the last few months, I found out the following. She was logging into my email and social media accounts without my knowledge. She set a boundary that we shouldn't discuss relationship problems with friends or family, only to later admit she discussed them extensively, including very personal details about me, with her mother, aunt, and at least 2 friends. She was contacting wedding venues without telling me to inquire about dates, despite us not being engaged. Embarrassingly, when I found out about any of these issues, she would either justify them because of something she felt I was doing, or threaten the relationship. If I had any issue with her behavior, this went on longer than I care to admit, but eventually, I decided to call her bluff on threatening the relationship, and we broke up. I blocked her on all social media platforms, and haven't seen or spoken to her since. Yesterday, I received this message on Facebook. Hey lad, how's it going? Sorry, you probably don't know me, but I think I'm going out with X's name here and just wanted to ask you something if that's all right. I didn't reply right away. Instead, I messaged a friend who I know would still have her as a friend on social media and asked if she had posted anything and if this guy was her boyfriend. The basic summary of what I got back was: 1. He is her boyfriend. 2. She posted 4 days ago that she is pregnant. 3. The announcement doesn't include the boyfriend in any way, not tagged in the post, not in the photos in the post, nothing. My first concern upon hearing this was that he thought she had cheated on him with me and that I was the father of the baby. In a semi-panic, I replied, Hi lad, I'm not sure I can do much for you as I haven't seen or spoken to her in well over 18 months at this stage. We haven't kept in touch or spoken at all. In hindsight, I regret replying at all, but I wanted to just remove any potential thought that I was in any way communicating with her. I sent that today and he replied almost instantly. No, that's fine. There's no panic. This is a bit strange and sorry about this. But was X's name here on the pill or anything when you were together? I know it's a strange one. My ex was not regularly on the pill when we were together, but she did have the bar implant. She occasionally had to deal with spotting, so she did take the pill for short periods on occasion. But she had the bar for the entire time we were together. I know this for certain because I paid for it when she had it replaced. And based on the timing, there would have been no reason for her to have it removed for over a year. She got it about 4 months before we broke up. So she has had it for just less than 2 years. They get removed after roughly 3 years. I haven't replied to this, but I feel he's making the obvious implication here that she has lied about contraception to him. And it at least somewhat seems possible that that is the case. I'm unsure if I should reply because I really don't want to be involved. I'm also not really sure if there is any practical benefit to him knowing this information. Potentially, I guess that is more of a legal question. I am leaning towards telling him the bare minimum and then saying I don't want to speak to him or anyone else about it again. Something to the effect of, she was regularly on the pill when we were together, but she was on the bar. I really don't want to say anything else about this, and I won't be responding to you or anyone else about this. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not your problem. You're right in hindsight. You just should have ignored the message. But at this point, if what you said about your ex is true, I'd be looking to avoid having any involvement in the slightest. I'm not sure legally it makes any difference for him what you've said regardless. Edit. You could send that message if you want, but the way he's asked these questions is kind of stupid too. So I would be blocking afterwards, no matter what. If he thinks she's lied about something you can corroborate, he should be straightforward with it. Comment 2. Dude, I can't answer to her contraception, but I can tell you she logged into my email and social media accounts without my permission and was secretly planning our wedding. If you're at all in doubt, wrap it up. If she truly is pregnant, insist on a paternity test. This is all I'm comfortable sharing with you, as I don't want to invite her chaos back into my life. Please don't contact me again. Now, for the update, thanks for sticking around. A lot has happened since the last post. So, after the message from my ex's new boyfriend, I thought I'd heard the last of it. But no, life had more in store. I decided to tell him the truth about the contraception and then wash my hands of the whole affair. I sent the message and hoped that would be the end of it. The next day, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. It was him. He thanked me for the information and then dropped a surprise. He wasn't just some random guy. He was the brother of one of my closest friends. I couldn't believe it. My friend had never mentioned his brother was seeing my ex. It felt like a betrayal. I had confided in him about all the issues I had with her, and now his brother was caught in her web. He told me they were planning to meet up to discuss the pregnancy and what to do next. I wished him luck and hung up, feeling a mix of anger and pity. I couldn't help but feel like my ex was playing the same games with him that she had with me. 2 days later, my friend called me, furious. His brother had confronted my ex with the information I'd provided, and she had turned the tables, claiming I was trying to sabotage their relationship. She spun a story about how I was still in love with her and couldn't stand the thought of her with someone else. My ex had even gone as far as to show him fake messages, supposedly from me, declaring my undying love for her. I was livid. Not only had she lied to her new boyfriend, but she was also trying to drag my name through the mud. My friend didn't know what to believe. I felt like I was in some twisted soap opera where the villain keeps getting away with their lies. I needed to clear my name. I gathered all the evidence I could find, old messages, emails, anything that showed the truth about our relationship and her manipulative ways. I sent it all to my friend's brother, hoping it would be enough to prove I was being honest. The aftermath was messy. My friend's brother broke up with her and my ex was exposed for the liar she was. My friend apologized for not telling me about his brother dating my ex, and for a moment it felt like the scales had tipped back in my favor. But then, another twist. My ex had one last card to play. She claimed the stress of the breakup had caused her to lose the baby. It was a low blow, and everyone was reeling from the news. I didn't know what to believe anymore. In the end, it turned out there was no baby. It was all a ploy for attention and sympathy. My ex's lies had finally caught up with her, and her reputation was in tatters. People saw her for who she really was, and I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. I learned a hard lesson about trust and the lengths some people will go to manipulate others. It's been a chaotic few days, but I'm just glad it's over. Thanks for reading. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.